change depending on how that goes in the near future. I don't know how you plug that in. The only thing we plug in is what we know today and project that out. So if a particular region of Chesapeake Beach were to be re-annexed or annexed into the beach, I'm here to tell you the potential of development almost triples. Certainly could double.
And that's being talked about pretty seriously.
Right, and of course, we talked about all of that, but I don't know how you load that latter scenario in there. Right now, based on what we know, they're not going to annex anything, so we leave alone with what is projected in that particular development, so. Does that help a little bit?
No.
Ms. Polinsky, honestly, I believe we may have a typo with that 213. I was just doing the numbers in my head, knowing the areas we pulled out of beach, and it should be about 270.
270 kids are coming out of.
Just looking at the map and doing the numbers in my head.
That's what I need, the math.
Is that
Option 2.
Option 2.
Well, option doesn't, I mean, the math doesn't work
You'd have
on
to
any
have-
of them.
But then your numbers in would have to be off.
Right,
because
they're
you're
going to be
having
off as well.
But does that mean though that then on the top, those numbers for option 2 are all off too? Or are
No.
those all correct?
Those are correct.
Those are correct, because those are based off of the boundaries.
Yeah.
What
With
we
each one of these options, at what capacity of percentage of will each school be at? Do we have that? Once you do this?
I haven't.
That's
We can certainly derive it.
Yeah, I
know we have a
have
chart
the
on it.
schedule in the,
Like once you, I say option 2, once you, what capacity would Beach Elementary be at?
well, you can just
Based on
compare it to the
addresses, that's an easy
SRC, right?
computation.
Yeah,
I think what winds up there in transfer-wise, so on and so forth, makes that somewhat of interest. So I think that leads us into
Well,
the
we're,
dialogue
we're,
of transfers.
that's where it gets sticky, yeah.
right, you're basing it off of addresses, though. You're, because these numbers are based off of address. So you're saying based off of addresses.
Well, right now, it's over capacity. What is it gonna be at if we went with option 2? At what capacity would it be?
For
It'll
Beach
show- it
Elementary.
It's
tells
like
you.
80%,
Yeah.
90%.
So it'd be
yeah.
like, yeah,
Here's your
like
state
80.
rated capacity.
Okay.
Here, this
But
line.
then with pre-K not factored
And then you
in,
take a
so
look
if you had
at,
Nope.
so it's gonna
pre-K
be
kids,
under,
you cut that in
the
half
only
for
one that
their
it's gonna be
half the
over,
day, so you're
it's gonna be
really-
over in options
you have
3 and
another
4.
40 students.
Right,
So then your
Pre-K
percentages
is-
would be off.
but then you have to look at your
Yeah.
other.
That we can't even begin to talk about
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, that's
because
a,
it's not in our numbers now.
It's almost as if you set a limit and we work from these numbers to it.
It's a very valid issue, and we are trying to get the state to recognize pre-K as full-time equivalents or half full-time equivalents. But that battle has yet to be won. Yeah,
Because it has major.
looking at option 2, I was interested in it because it was a low number, the lowest number of kids that were supposed to be transferred out, but then it leaves Plum Point over capacity.
we will, we'll recalculate these numbers just to verify them, and we'll get this page back to
Yeah,
you
yeah.
if there's any change.
If that's just a calculated thing
Yeah.
down the bottom, that's fine, just
We'll
get those.
recalculate this.
But the option numbers of the ending enrollment is purely based on September, well, no. It's the one that's based on the current addresses as the time that you redrew the boundaries. Okay.
Absolutely.
So those numbers are going to vary a little bit, like you said at the beginning. They're going
Right.
to vary.
Right.
But that's
Exactly.
fine.
Exactly.
Can the committee say with reasonable confidence, based on the numbers and projections that we have now, that we would not have to redistrict a neighborhood that's being affected in any of these 4 options? We would not have to redistrict that again in, say, 6 years?
No,
Here's his long-term.
But to say we don't want, I know in this process last year, so we really don't want to redistrict the same student twice while they're in elementary school.
sure.
And so 6 years would be that magic
Right.
number if they're in kindergarten right now.
And Mr. Shinley, that was a big conversation piece too, about, and I think when you see the letter and Mr. Lee reads that, you'll understand the frustration probably on the citizens of our committee, when they wrote that, about the fact that, this is just a stopgap measure, because there's no way we can make any predictions, and I wouldn't even go there.
Is there a favorite, the committee, did they have a favorite of the four, or any of the four that they really liked?
No, sir. We try not to play favorites. We let you guys
Well-
do
They're letting
that.
us hang out to
Yeah,
dry.
but
No.
we're interested also to listen to people's opinion. I mean, it's very
Right,
rare
I mean,
to
I-
listen to everybody.
Right, and I think that the committee came up with plans that they felt like, out of all of the plans that they had, that, they were as comfortable as they could be to move forward with those. So,
Maybe they need to take another look and see if there's a way that we could, if it looks like we're gonna be doing this again, and that's my fear, we're gonna wind up trying to work with this again in another year or two or three. Is there a way that, and we patched it up
They
and made
did.
it work this year?
These plans, there's some of them that even out that enrollment, that versus the state rated capacity. It evens people out. I mean, there's some that are a little bit, maybe one or two,
But I'm
but
saying, when we're getting ready to move all these kids, do you have any idea what it's gonna
Yes,
do to
and we
the
asked them to
families in this
spend-
county? Yeah, I'm looking at some way that we could see if there's a way of tweaking it to make it work until we really are on firm ground about what's gonna happen here with growth. I'm just talking.
well, we're going to be getting public input for how many
Well, that's
hearings
important.
are we having?
well, right now we have two set up. If you all want to continue to move forward in that direction, one is set up for the 11th, and one is set up for the 13th, 11th of February and 13th of February. If you all choose to continue to move forward, then obviously there's going to need to be advertised today to get within that 30-day window that it have to be out there for our citizens. If you don't move in that direction, then we're in a, they're still out there.
Well, I just want to thank the committees for all their hard work. I know this was very taxing for them. My concern as superintendent is now that we have moved this to Dares Beach Road, it affects every single elementary school. There's only like one plan that doesn't affect one school and another plan doesn't affect another school, but we're talking about mass
Yeah. Yeah,
boundary
That's my point.
changes.
that means
And-
teacher assignments, that is
that
everything.
concerns me as a system in that when we're looking at Beach Elementary School, which we know is they're way over capacity, is there a simpler way that we do not have to disrupt half of the county?
That's what I was trying to get
That's
at.
what we tried for last year. And none of the plans met with our satisfaction, so we didn't go, that was,
But they were only affecting like 4 schools last time, right?
Yes.
Yeah, 4 schools.
Right.
And
Send
then,
up three, right.
then they left out, I think, Plum Point, I think it
Huntington
was.
Elementary School.
Huntingtown, yes.
Right, and so that was kind of the challenge. We tried to, the first thing that we wanted was see what we can do with affecting as few schools as possible.
Exactly.
That's what they presented to us last year, and we all went,
Well, we did that because
It
we
was-
didn't have the
we were moving too
accurate
fast.
number of how many homes were gonna be built. And
that
we
will
didn't wanna be
always-
doing
that
this again.
apparent- But that will apparently always be true. So, I mean, I
think we
wish
have a
there was
better gist of it now.
less complicated way forward, but that's what we looked at last year. And we chose not to move forward with that. I don't think we're gonna get a better
This is
answer.
a stopgap solution. We will be back here again, I guarantee, because the northern end of the county is growing, and we're gonna be, I know the hard work that went into this, but I have major concerns.
I agree, but I think that the only other alternative is to say go back and add more elementary schools into the mix, and that would be moving even more children. I don't see shrinking the boundary, the geographical area that we're looking at is improving the outcome in terms of, if we're saying we'll be back here in 2 years or 3 years or 4 years, which is why I would like to see, at least based on our projections, we can't guess what might happen with annexation and stuff like that, but we could know based on our current projections where we would expect schools to be over capacity again in the next few years. So, I don't know that there are, I think that the committee did great work. They've given us great information. I know that they thoroughly considered all the issues at hand. I don't think they neglected anything,
No.
is what I'm saying.
No, this is
No,
very
it's painful.
comprehensive.
It's
Yeah.
painful, no matter what we do, it's painful. And we have to do it. We were worried about how fast we were moving in the last exercise. We felt that maybe we could have more data, and they got all the data in the world, I think, that they needed to work with. Projections are very difficult to make. So that's the big unknown, but we have got to alleviate that issue up at Beach, and it's gonna impact, unfortunately, schools. Now, we can choose an option, Jean, you know, that affects as few schools as possible if we think that makes sense. But, I mean, they gave us that. One of the options does have two other schools that aren't impacted.
Well, I don't think I can make that decision today.
Oh, no. You
Of
mean,
course not, we're not,
I
we're
mean-
gonna have
you
the
mean to
public
move
input.
forward?
Moving forward, it depends on how we want to move forward. How do you want to do it? That's the question.
No, we
So-
just,
Are
we
we-
just decide today to move forward, right? And then the public hearings are scheduled?
Correct. If
Yeah, I mean, that's what
We
you,
just got this
that's
today.
kind of what you would have, or do you?
I mean, I need to think about this and look at this also.
Of course.
I can't,
We're not making the decision on the plans today.
I know. I
We're
understand.
moving forwards, moving forward.
We have a deadline
Yeah.
to meet.
Well,
They have to-
according to the, I'm sorry, I didn't mean-
Go ahead.
according to the procedures, the dates for the public comments have to be, or the public meetings, have to be posted 30 days in advance. And I believe our first day is on the 11th, and today's the 9th.
Yes.
So, if you want to move forward, probably have to get that posted pretty soon so that we fall within our, so that we're following the process and the
Can we make that
procedures.
decision at the next meeting? We're 2 weeks away. Is that enough time to give you the?
No.
Well, then we would have to
No.
We would have to read.
I think the thing that we have to think about is whatever decision gets made, there's gonna be some impact if you decide to move boundaries. There's gonna be a residual impact on what has to be done
Oh,
from a
sure.
logistical standpoint of, getting out information, transfers, bus routing, maps, just the whole logistical piece from a school system's perspective. Staffing, what's, that, you know, that's the piece that's gonna weigh heavy on this too. So, the longer we wait to have the public hearings, if that is something that ends up happening, that pushes that whole process back further. Doesn't mean it can't be done, it just means, you know, you just need to tell us what you want those steps to look at. And I was just checking to make sure that, the other thing as a procedural is that it says the board's final decision will be made no later than the 15th, April 15th, except in emergency situations. So that's some other language in the
Well, there's
procedure.
nothing to say we can't go ahead with the hearings. And there's nothing to say we can't turn down all plans at that point if we decide it's not right. It can't work.
So we, last year.
That's what we did last year.
Yeah.
I mean, so I think that,
So I move that we move forward with the Beach Elementary School redistricting and schedule the hearings.
And I second? Or no, you have to,
no, that's
Yeah,
okay.
second.
You can second it, sure.
no, I mean, I thought we wanted discussion or
Well,
something.
I'm gonna ask that question next. Is there further discussion on that, on the question? If not,
Could we have this as an agenda item on the 23rd, our next work session here? And at that time, if choose not to hold those public hearings,
we could stop.
we could stop them if we
We can do
decide
that.
at that time as a board not to move forward.
But we're saying now
we
we're
need
gonna
to at
move
least
forward.
post them in case we do.
Okay. All right, it's moved and seconded, we go ahead with the setting up the public hearings. Further discussion? If not, I'm gonna put the question. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you all very much.
I had
Can
one
just
last
ask
question.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I have one last question. Here it says the Mount Harmony Elementary School, it's at capacity. But we're gonna be, if we, some of your plans have it being reduced, you know, the population actually is reducing. But it's still adequate for our estimations, right?
Yes. As long as we don't exceed, say, rated capacity by too much.
Right.
If at all possible, could we at least read the letter that the
Sure.
citizens had
Absolutely.
We'd like
asked?
to,
Yes, we'd like
yes.
to.
Okay, no, that's
Should
fine.
have
I
heard that
just-
first. Forgot about it.
This statement was submitted by the citizens seated on the Beach Elementary School Redistricting Committee, and I begin with, all parents desire the best environment for their children to learn. They desire the best teachers, the most proactive administrators, and the most engaged community for their children to grow. The best environment can only be achieved where there is an equitable distribution of resources, or as close to equitable as possible given the constraints of geography, topography, and funding. With this in mind, our foundational thought was that all students deserve the best educational experience possible. Given the resources available and the limitations of time, distance, transportation, and facility capability, the committee has worked arduously to find an equitable, viable solution. Our approach to developing observations for potential redistricting options included the following: teacher-student ratios, facility capability in relation to student capacity, transportation ride times, life patterns in regards to time shifts for school start and end times, Title I opportunities, safety, and community continuity. As we work to find a path for igniting the fire within each Calvert County Elementary School student, we have maintained our foremost thoughts, the impact any change will bring to families affected by the options we developed. We have come up with several potential plans that will propose considering moving students from one school to another to address these issues. While carefully reviewing all of the pertinent information that contributed to reaching this situation, several things became clear. While the county as a whole is losing overall student population, Chesapeake Beach is rapidly gaining enrollment and increasingly burdening the infrastructure. It appears that the reason for this is in disparity in growth policy in the county as a whole and the incorporated area of Chesapeake Beach. Based on the information provided to us, it appears that this disparity has the potential to create even greater claim on assets and infrastructure of the county in the very near future. We recommend that the county research changes to county regulations governing annexation of property within the county to a municipality. Specifically, unless the municipality has an adequate public facilities ordinance in place that mitigates effects of growth on county resources, annexation should not be allowed to occur. The committee further recommends that the town of Chesapeake Beach consider and adopt an adequate public facilities ordinance. This growth does not impact just the elementary schools. It will eventually have an impact in the entire county school system. Additionally, Chesapeake Beach's expansion has the potential to impact growth in other areas of the county, making this a countywide concern. Based on information provided to us, it appears that the continued rapid expansion of residential growth in Chesapeake Beach will continue to overburden schools ahead of any possible increase in student capacity. Because of that, redistricting and merely moving students from one crowded school to another will not be a long-term solution. Based on what we see, the county government does an excellent job attempting to adapt to the changes in our growth and density. However, without additional tools to provide a more adequate model of what is going to happen in the municipality of Chesapeake Beach, it will remain a challenge to plan appropriately. The county will need to expand infrastructure with assistance from the state. Where to build a new school and expand roads is beyond the scope of the committee.
Right on the money.
Yes, it is.
It's excellent.
Yes, thank you.
I think we need to communicate that probably with the commissioners.
And we plan
In the
to-
past, what we have done is that now that we have presented this to you, that we would post this on the website for our citizens. And then we would make available in the schools information for the citizens of the affected schools. And of course, the maps and stuff would be posted. Are we still following that? We'll still go through that same thing? Okay. All right. Then our goal is, we're going to recheck the calculations on the one page for you all and make whatever adjustments need to be. And then we will get that clean and we will get that posted within the next day or so. And then get this out to the schools by Tuesday. today's Thursday, give us tomorrow to get everything straight, get everything run off, and then we'll have them out in the schools by, and we usually made sets of 50, and this is as much for the viewing public, but we usually made sets of 50 to 75 for each of the schools to house. If they run out, we print more. So,
And if a parent has a question, do we have a procedure for them to funnel the question through to one of the three of you before a public hearing?
in the past, questions have come to a central area, and then they have channeled those to us.
Usually comes through webmaster,
Right.
Okay.
and that comes directly to me, and then I either answer it if I can, or if I can't, then I send it on to the appropriate director.
And I assume the parent might ask the principal first, but the principal, may not know the answer. So then I guess they would just funnel it up through you.
Any other
So
questions?
if someone wanted to find this on the website, where would they go on the website? Once you post it on there?
Once
be a
it's
banner.
posted, I need to probably
On the front?
talk with Joel and them. It probably
We
would
could
obviously
probably
be on
do
the
it.
front.
Yep.
We can do a
Front page.
banner.
And a
Do it.
banner.
As
Okay.
soon as you
banner.
open up Calvert
Just
County Public
redistrict
Schools.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
That'd be good.
we want it right out there so people can
And
access it.
it'll
and-
be easily accessible.
Absolutely. So I'll work with IT about finding a place to put that and work with Miss Maxey
Yeah.
to do that.
Any other questions?
No, but I know that there are members from the committee here today, and I thank you all very much for your good work.
Yes, thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much
That's what I
for
was
your
just
hard
about to
work.
do.
And if you're here next year, we really have a problem, don't we?
If you don't like this, we'll see you next year.
We realize what kind of job this is. It's not a pleasant kind
Yeah.
of job. And we do appreciate you taking the time to, and I know there's a lot of time involved for doing that for us. We really
Thank you.
appreciate it, and we'll certainly be looking to you for some advice as we move along here. Hope you'll continue to stay with us. And also thank you guys for your work.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, yeah, by the way.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you very
On
much.
the original map, I think Plum Point's not on there.
We corrected
They
that.
corrected
They
it.
corrected
Oh,
it.
mine, okay.
The next thing we have on the agenda is the Food Services Departmental Report. Nancy, do you have something to say about your person?
I don't see half of what's up there.
Oh, really?
That's
Do I
bad.
have any what?
Yeah, I saw that on the one that we got. The copy we got didn't have it.
I mean, I don't know.
No.
Do we have his presentation? It's online, huh?
Yes.
Good afternoon, Mr. Canode. Good afternoon, Ms. Palmer. How are you?
So thanks for taking the opportunity for us to be here today. We present a little bit about the food services program and some of the impacts it's had on us over the last year. We talked a little bit last year about the Healthy Hungry Free Kids Act that was established in 2010. And the biggest impact that we had last year was actually in FY13 was implementing that process. And that process was where we went from 50% grains to 100% grains, and we had the increase in fruits and vegetables and some different portion sizes and the different aspects of that to our program. And one of the things that I shared with you, I think, last year was the impact that I thought it might do as far as the impact on the budget, and I really wasn't looking so much. You have the other slide, Tyler? This is looking a little bit different here. Okay. The impact that I didn't anticipate as much was the reduction in sales as far as the student lunches was. And I think a lot of that has to stem to, well, some of it is, student enrollment has decreased a little bit, but I don't think it impacted as much as it has as far as the Healthy Hungry Free Kids Act. And a lot of that is, what the students are eating at home isn't actually what the students are eating at schools. The chicken nuggets that we serve certainly aren't the same chicken nuggets that you buy at the grocery store, the whole grains and a lot of different items that we're serving. So we're finding out that the students' acceptability of that is not as strong as what we'd like it to be, and that's not as big an impact at the elementary student level as it is the secondary school level. I think we're seeing a significant increase in gains at the elementary level, that the students' acceptability is coming along, but I think that's going to take a few years before that impact actually can be in our favor. So these are just some numbers that I just shared. We have a 5% reduction in the free and reduced, and I just separated that out from the total lunches on the first slide. One of the other big impacts was, as far as our food services program, even though we generated, I think this is an important piece, is even though we sold less lunches, our food costs went up, roughly $230,000 in that ballpark. And a lot of that,
Changing fed regulations.
all in Fed regulations. So, again, healthier foods cost more money, portion sizes were increased, more fruits and vegetables, which is on the second slide, went up 78%. We increased, we went from 52, my glasses on here. We went from 52,000 to 94,000, which is a significant increase. We're offering salad cups every day, fresh carrots every day, and we're doing apples and oranges and a lot of other different things that we're doing on our program as far as fresh fruits and vegetables. So, I mean, it is a significant impact on the program.
And did that, the 230,000 doesn't include any any equipment
Yeah,
purchases?
230,000 is just a straight line item,
It's
food.
just food. And
Straight
there
line.
was equipment purchases, right?
There was some equipment purchases that we had to buy, some refrigeration items and stuff, and some additional freezers. More of the items that we're trying to get fresh, frozen versus canned items and some of those things of that nature. Yeah. Yes.
Has your, the waste, what do you call it when you have to throw things
Well,
away?
they call it plate waste is the term they like to use.
Well, say it again? The
Plate waste.
plate waste.
Yeah.
Has that increased?
I mean, I think, I would like to say no, but I believe so.
Is plate waste, that's what the
Well, plate waste
students are
would be,
throwing,
you know,
what the students are throwing away, not what's being lost behind the line.
And the reason I say that I think plate waste has increased some is that, where we used to have offer versus serve, where the students only had to take 3 items out of the 5, now they have to take a full fruit or a full vegetable serving. So it's mandatory that they take that, even though they may not want it. So we're encouraging, we're trying to encourage the students to eat their carrots or eat their fresh salad cups and some of those things. But, the overall portion of the amount of food that they're eating is actually larger. So in the amount of time that they have to eat, that could be an impact as well.
The next slide focuses on, we have additional changes. Up until this point, over the past few years, all of the changes have impacted specifically school breakfast and school lunch. Starting with next school year, they're looking at regulations that will start impacting a la carte. We did have some of that in place already through the wellness policy that was established, I started in 2006, so I believe that was the first year it was implemented, where we had requirements and guidelines for snacks that could be served and different types of beverages. This, however, will supersede any of that. It's not the final rule yet. It has closed to the public. It's no longer open for public comment, although what's going to come out of this is probably not going to be a whole lot different than what we see up there right now. This one just focuses on the food, and I know you've had this ahead of time, and I don't want to bore you with reading everything in there, but essentially you have to meet one of those top bullets first. Once that's accomplished, all of those other criteria listed at the bottom also have to be met. And you can see there's differences for entrees versus something that would, anything else really, snacks, side dishes.
So you almost need a math major to be able to figure it out.
It's a little
Because you're pulling every ingredient, every nutritional analysis,
Right.
every little thing. You almost need a separate person just to be able to figure out what we're allowed to serve. And actually, as you go through the slide, you'll see that there's very few items we can serve.
And certain things that are typically purchased or eaten as a unit by the students, for instance, mashed potatoes and gravy, those aren't two different things. Because gravy, we have to assume that they're going to take it. So for instance, mashed potatoes and gravy would be a side dish. If we have a hamburger, we have to assume that they're going to take ketchup. And we have to count all the sodium and everything that's in those condiments that they may or may not use as well. And that certainly provides another challenge in addition to
I think we have that
finding
on
those
our
items.
next slide.
So can I ask a question about the less than 35% of total weight from sugar?
Yes.
I've never really seen nutritional information presented that way, where
No.
it's, so what's,
You won't find that in the grocery store listed on the back of the label.
No, I'm not really.
So as a consumer, it's kind of hard, you're sharing that with the parents and students on one end, but you don't really do that personally at any other level in your life.
I mean,
So
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to.
realistically, I mean, for me, because I'm a dietitian, I know how many grams or how many calories in a gram of sugar. I mean,
Right.
I can figure that out. I'm not sure why they chose that angle versus some kind of a set number. I don't know.
That could be a lot of sugar in any particular item, I would think.
It could be. I mean, there's the potentials there, but from the items that we serve, there isn't a whole lot of sugar in them. I mean, most of the items, even the ice creams and things, are just not
That's
real high. And we've already moved to chocolate milk that's basically the lowest, sugar content of the ones that I've seen that's out there for food service. So we've already tried to
Curious.
go in that direction, and most of our commodity fruits now, they come in where they used to be in heavy syrup.
Yeah.
They moved to light syrup, and now most of them are either in extra light syrup, fruit juice, or some of them are even just in water. So,
Interesting.
yeah, that's kind of come down on its own over the years based on what's been available to us. On the next slide, you'll see some examples of things that we currently offer as a la carte items, because I think sometimes when you look at all those numbers, I mean, I don't know how much they really resonate with anybody. I mean, sure, you don't want something to have more than 220 milligrams of sodium, but what does that really mean? So I listed some of the typical items that are offered a la carte so that you could kind of see how quickly that sodium builds up, and that's really probably our most difficult challenge. We've always watched for fat, so I don't know that that's really going to be a big challenge for us. It's mostly would be the sodium. Even as I used the mashed potato and gravy example, that's down there in the bottom right. And I wanted to include these as well to show you the detailed information about the items we offer. I mean, you can already see where we're already using reduced calorie items, we're already using reduced sodium items, we're already using whole grain items. We're trying to make this meat to allow the children some variety, but it is increasingly difficult. And we're waiting essentially for vendors to develop new products, and they always do. I mean, every year there's new products out. I don't know that we've necessarily enjoyed some of the ones that have met the criteria yet, but they're on the forefront. They will continue to develop them. Hopefully we'll find some that we think the children will enjoy. The only item we don't currently carry is the cheeseburger. You can see it's listed there. It says reduced sodium hamburger made with mushrooms. That is something that the USDA was looking to offer as a possible commodity item. So I thought, well, I'll at least look at that one. Maybe that one will work. But even with that one, I couldn't get the sodium down. Unfortunately, anytime you have a bread product, sodium is part of the chemistry used for the bread, so that's inherently going to be in there.
Just by putting on the rolls, take it after sodium.
Mm-hmm.
And then you add the condiment to it. And certainly if you had a piece of cheese, there's nothing left to put in between it. So, it's gonna be-
What's amazing is
It's our
the
challenge.
turkey.
So I
We're
brought
looking
to
at
you
different
last, I
options,
brought to you
but-
this year, the lunch program. Next year I'll bring to you the a la carte.
Yeah.
The answer to this
Slide.
is to stop eating.
Yeah.
So we've
Everyone will be
contemplated,
hungry.
the vendors
Wow.
are coming out with different serving sizes for things. Traditionally, what we think of maybe as a hamburger, they're moving towards maybe the slider route. So there's some possibility there. I mean, obviously the percentage of fat would remain the same regardless. It would be more the total
Should you end up with
sodium
more
in there.
bread when you do sliders? You end up with more bread?
I
if you-
think, I mean, if
talking
you're
about
really
one
looking
slider?
at,
We'd be selling one.
right, it would be a single slider and you buy three. It's sort of like, they gave you this magic
Oh, but
number
you're-
over here,
but the
but you
numbers
can't
are-
meet it, so you actually do what we did 5 years ago. Instead of having a 1.1 ounce bag of chips, you have like a 0.65 or 0.75 bag of chips. You took your bag of chips and said this big, but, you shrunk it down. So, you're trying to get students to eat, proper portion sizes. But I don't think that this avenue is a proper portion size at 500 milligrams of sodium or whatever that number is, because even when you're talking about,
It's not enough.
So have we seen a decrease in the amount of protein that the students were getting?
as far as the lunch program, no. There might be a few items that you may have seen something, but most of that went down to the elementary level. So instead of having 6 chicken nuggets, there's 5, so that we can meet the criteria for that. But the secondary really hasn't been a big impact at the high school levels. The middle schools, we did do a little bit of changing, because we mirrored that more with the elementary schools than we did with the high schools, because once you have 3 different groups, then you have to have 3 certified menus, which have to go to the state for approval. So all our menus are certified, by the way. And when
Essentially, it was
I went back to that one slide, we get we lost $220,000, well, we didn't lose, we spent $220,000 more in groceries than we got 6 cents. We talked about the 6 cents after you got your menu certified, we got 6 cents for every meal. So that was roughly like $41,000. So for the offset, we got $41,000. But so it really didn't cover the cost, of implementing the program. So what's not to take up all your time, so I'm going to slide through these.
Well, they're
little
not
fast.
sending us any extra money to cover that,
Oh, no, no, absolutely not. That may sound fun to mandate in a way, right?
though, right? So, we gotta do it.
All right, so the beverages are going to be a big key for the high schools. Again, this is one of those things, I'm dumbfounded on why they can't have flavored water, why they can't have isotonics, Gatorade when you're trying to get students to drink fluids. And a lot of those items actually have less calories in than 100% fruit juice. So now we're promoting 100% fruit juice as the only beverage that they can drink, which is high in
Milk.
well, obviously milk, the dairy counts has got the milk. But I mean, it's still high in sugar, either way you cut it. I mean, it's either natural occurring sugar or corn syrup. So, I'm on the fence with that a little bit too, so I don't know how that will impact any of that.
And again, I know sometimes it's difficult to read in these charts like that, so if you flip the next page, or if you look on yours, I actually have these are the beverages, many of the ones that we currently offer, and then it will show you how, this is basically how it would play out if the regulations go through the way they are. Now, I put the coffee and the diet soda up there, not because we're jumping on the diet soda. We haven't had soda as part of our program, I don't know, at least since I've been here. I don't know how far back that went. But according to the new criteria, diet soda would be permittable, which to me is a step backwards. But the other thing that would be listed in there is coffee, which I also thought was kind of funny because I thought, well, that's one we haven't looked at yet.
That's at the high school because of caffeine.
Yeah, you can see just high school only, those items. Every school, this top corner up here, every school would be able to offer those a la carte. The middle school would be able to offer everything in that top section, plus the juice bowl drinks. And then the high school would be able to offer essentially everything on the page except for those two with X's. And I do believe the Fruit Wave that's up there now is being reformulated, and it will actually meet the criteria. And that's a lot of what we see. The criteria changes and the vendors, modify their products and try and keep up. It's just sometimes you get to that point where they've modified it so much that it's no longer a desirable product. There's that fine line in there, so yes, so that would be the differences in the beverages.
And just to recap, the program is really, the food services program is set up, so we can try to keep the cost of lunches at a minimum. And a la carte has always offset that cost to enable the price of lunches to be at the price we're currently charging. If the a la carte changes dramatically in our program, then we're going to have to increase the price of student lunches, which is a downfall that we have to look at. Not to shed light on that. Go ahead.
Just a couple additional items because I know there are some board members, I don't think I was here last year at the meeting, I didn't have a chance to explain some of this information that's available. Some of the communication tools that we use, we now have My School Bucks. This is the first school year that we've transitioned from our Cafe Prepay system, which was our previous version of online payment, to My School Bucks. We did so because both were owned by the same company, and essentially they took the stronger of the two products and did away with the other one. This one offers parents the ability to look back 90 days to see their student purchases, which is much better. We used to have 30 days, so that window was kind of small. You can check account balances. You can also have it email you on a low balance threshold, and you can pick whatever you want it to email you on. So if you set $5, whenever it's below $5, it will show up as an email. This little guy over on the right, that's something that can actually be put on your desktop. I have that on there now. He's either happy, contemplating, or very unhappy as his balance continues to drop. So in case you need a reminder and don't want to wait for the email, that's another way to keep tabs on it, because we're trying to work, I think the majority of parents, if they knew that their child was low on lunch funds, would be proactive and send something in. It's just sometimes those slips don't make it home. My son is in first grade, and I can tell you right now, I've never ever seen a slip come home. So, I always go by this.
Can you go on here and pay with a credit card and put money in there?
You can.
Is there a fee charged
for the credit to put money on? There is a fee, and I think it's $2.50.
Every time you do it?
Yes. Yep, it's
So if
basically
you
the
wanted to
credit card.
put 3 months worth of money in there, you only get charged $250,
I think the max is $100.
$100. Okay.
If you just want to go on and monitor purchases, check balances, do the little widget on your desktop, none of that costs anything. You just have to register your student for that.
So
And
if they
it's-
bring a check in, there's no fee for that?
No.
Correct.
And parents you can do it that way, you can load it from the check.
You can't load
Instead of
it.
check into the school.
You can bring a check to the school, and we put it on their account, and they can look their account up.
So where do they take the check in the school? To their teacher or to the cafeteria? Cafeteria.
Yeah, it kind
The
of depends
cashier.
on their
To the cashier.
Yeah.
teacher. Sometimes they collect
So then
them all.
that cashier goes into their,
The cashier goes into our system, they're just linked together so that they merge, it's basically.
and then they put it into that account?
Mhm. And went over the past, I don't
I
know,
mean, if you
maybe,
have children, you can just go in and put their login, their number, their student ID number in, and you can actually access this, even if you don't want to use the system, to use it as a credit card. You still can use it as cash, you can use it anywhere, as long as you just use
So at the beginning of the year, every student has an ID number.
it's the same one all year, it
same
doesn't
one.
change.
Same one.
Yep, ever since they enroll.
Oh, ever since they enrolled,
Yep,
okay.
it'll be the
It's
same
a perfect
one.
way for parents to monitor
They'll
their students.
track them through college.
Okay.
I'm
And
not
about 4 or 5 years ago, we switched over from systems that were limited to per school site to a system that is entirely networked. So even if we have students go, sometimes they go on trips from the elementary to the middle school just to see what it's like. No matter where they go in our school system, as long as they have their ID number, they're able to use their account. So that is certainly a perk. Or if they transfer schools or when they go from elementary to middle school, all of that information carries over with them. And then I also included a picture over here. First, I put my son up there because I knew nobody would complain because I'm the one that put him up there. But, and he does have food allergies. And I just wanted to explain how,
He must have enough money in his account, he's smiling.
I know, he's smiling. Well, I looked this morning, he's actually down to like
Happy for
$7.75, I think, so I need to make a deposit there. But some people wonder, how do our staff know, for instance, when a child has some kind of a special dietary concern, or if you call in, as we do with some elementaries will call in and say, okay, I only want my child to buy snacks Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or something like that, or snacks with cash only, not off their account. Anything like that, we actually have 2 spaces there, and you can see the dietary note that gets put in once we have a form, a diet modification form for disabilities and life-threatening food allergies, goes to the nurse. Nurse makes a copy, obviously, for the records there at the school, and then it comes to me. I put it in their account, and it shows up in red like that. Right above there, you can see where it says Other Note, and that would be the section that we have where you could put other, like I said, snacks with cash only, or snack Monday only, or
Don't
something
let him
like that.
buy cookies for all his friends.
Can't use it.
Yeah.
Not next year.
Right. there
No,
will be-
yeah, definitely not next year.
Otis is Otis is gonna be a problem with this.
But we were able to get that separated out probably about 2 years ago through the vendor because they had
Nice.
one spot that's a dietary note. And, that's, there's some that are,
Some are more restricted.
I don't want to say that they're not both important, but we needed a way to
We
differentiate
can
the
print out
critical
reports.
health information versus the other information. So they did that for us and put it in red, which I thought was extra nice.
Should be encouraging to see that our school system's dietitian has her son eating the school lunches, so.
Yes, he does. Actually, he eats every day except Taco Day. That's one of our best days, and for some reason the child just does not want
I
to.
think we were counting out our office, we
So-
had eight children represented in our office, and all 8 of them eat every day.
Every day, except for Taco
I
Day.
think we represent 6 schools, 25% of the county.
Probably, because we live all over all over the county. The last one here, Mr. Canode already commented on the left-hand side there that our menus were certified by the first available time period, so that we could start maximizing that 6 cents per meal, because until your meals were certified, you weren't going to get that additional funds. So we made sure we were right on that to submit it as soon as we could, and we received this $41,000 in SY13. That's that 6 cents. On the right-hand side, it's just talking about we had only one school this year where we did the homegrown lunch week. We typically do 2 elementary schools. However, the majority of the participants are volunteers that are farmers out in the community. And, it does create quite a burden on them. They're giving up an entire day to come in, and we just weren't able to get enough people to volunteer this year to do it at 2 different schools. So we just did it at Patuxent Elementary, but the pictures are from the past few years, just representative of what we typically have. We always like to bring in the farm animals